Good evening, friends and neighbors. First, I want to apologize for the lighting. I know it's not very good. I can try to turn it down a little, but I need to be able to see. I felt like I needed to do this while it was on my mind. So today, we are still talking about demons. Let me say it might help if I turn the news off. That way the screen won't keep flashing. And we're going to talk about demons and sexual perversion. Now, this is not my favorite topic to talk about, but it seems to be a topic that is constantly in our face all the time because of our society and the way things are going. So, sexual perversion was a major part of every ancient pagan religion. And at the fall of the divine beings in Genesis 6, lust and sex was a major factor. The terrible corruption before the flood was rife with sexual perversion. And this is where we are today. In the last video, I talked about how Satan desensitizes us to accept sensuality and implied sex as permissible for commercial, public purposes, for our entertainment. Millions of Christians sit and watch things online or on TV that I assure you they would not watch it if Jesus were sitting right beside them. But what I want to talk about mostly today is about how bad things have really gotten. And I suspect that the average person is not aware of exactly how bad things are at the level of sexual perversion in our society because it's not talked about on the news a lot. It gets censored in most public places because sexual perversion is suddenly our right, and everyone is supposed to accept it. But we know that the Bible teaches against it, and we, as God's people, are to stand against it. And so I'm just going to talk about some things that maybe a lot of you are not aware of how bad things are. Some of you are. But the most important thing is that we are not supposed to accept this as normal and as part of our life. And so this will probably get censored. Not a lot of people will see it. So if you feel inclined to share it, that would help for more people to see it. As believers, we need to be praying against this. We need to be aware of what's going on so we can protect the innocent, our loved ones, and we need to be aware of what's happening. So sometimes I look at our world today. I look at our nation, and I feel like I'm living in a dream that's on the verge of being a nightmare. I don't even recognize our country anymore. It's just, I was telling my daughter the other day, it's just like a convergence. It's like as we get closer and closer to the end, things are happening faster and faster and just like going crazy so fast. It's just feels really bizarre sometimes. And especially because I'm 66 years old. I grew up in a time that was not like this. And so if you're much younger, maybe this is normal for you, but I assure you, it is not normal for God. And it is not supposed to be normal for God's people. God burned down Sodom and Gomorrah for the things that we are legislating and approving and accepting. Homosexuality is a sin. Adultery is a sin. Fornication, sex outside of marriage, is a sin. And if you don't think the Bible teaches this, then evidently you don't read it very much. It's very plain. Yet America, who is supposed to be a Christian nation, has legalized homosexuality and has accepted adultery, sexual perversion, and fornication as a right that we all deserve and that we must all accept from others. And how can anyone in their right mind think that this transgender crap that is going on is not demon inspired? So, I have friends who are gay. I love them dearly, and I hope that they love me too. And if you are gay, that is your personal business. It's between you and God. Until you try to force me to say it is all right. Until you try to force feed it to our young people. Then I have a problem. And anyone who cannot see that Satan is deliberately perverting the order and design of things that God created, anyone who cannot see this has been deceived by Satan. Our government is promoting this. The President of the United States of America is promoting this sexual perversion in the public square. Our government institutions are promoting and accommodating this. The military, the schools, the education system, the medical system, they are either promoting this or accommodating it. And for the most part, we're frightened into silence. Why? Because in some places you'll get beat up for speaking against this, or you'll get fired, or you'll get censored, or you'll lose a lot of friends. And as I've already talked about in the last post, we're failing in our personal lives. We allow things that should not be in the lives of one who is a representative of the Most High God, the creator of the universe, the one who made a way for us to escape the life and punishment of sin. Yet we expect God to bless us and protect us and answer our prayers. We're living under a delusion if we think that we can accommodate sin and expect blessing from God. It will not happen. The sexual perversion in the church is especially grieving. Day after day after day, you hear of another pastor or another elder or someone important in the church world getting caught in another affair or child sex abuse or pornography. Almost on a daily basis, we see reports of what we think are good people doing bad things. There are more than 29 million reports every year of suspected child sexual exploitation. 29 million reports every year. That's over 500,000 reports every week. The United States is one of the biggest clients of child pornography. 18% of all child pornography is produced by a parent or a guardian. 25% of all child porn is produced by a neighbor or a family friend. And another 18% is the result of online enticement and interaction with a stranger, between a stranger and your child. 90% of children ages 8 through 16 have seen pornography. Most children are exposed to porn before they're 12 years old, some as young as 7 or 8. And this is not just a statistic that I read online. I have known it to happen. And most people have a tendency to shrug this off. Oh, they're young, they won't remember. Kids are too busy being kids. Well, you are very wrong. Being exposed to pornography can be traumatic for children and youth. This is a quote. Seeing it steals their innocence and gives them a distorted image of sexuality, relationships, a distorted image of men and women, which can then affect their behavior. It can also make them more vulnerable to being sexually abused, since their understanding of appropriate behavior can be damaged. All right, read that again. Being exposed to pornography affects all aspects of their lives and makes them more vulnerable to being sexually abused. Let's shrug that off. I was exposed to pornography, pictures, before the age of 12, and I was exposed to child pornography, a written book, a novel, several years later. It has tormented me my entire life. If there is one thing in my life that I wish I could undo, it would be that. So please listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. Protect your children. Almost everything that today's child is being exposed to has sexual perversion built into it. Have you watched kids' cartoons and movies lately? First, our children have access to, let's say, young kids are watching cartoons and stuff that are really targeted to teens. They don't need to be watching stuff that teens are doing and thinking about and dating. We're letting them have access to things way beyond their age. It's almost impossible to find cartoons and movies that are supposed to be for kids that do not have some form of homosexuality and gender confusion in them. Many school libraries have books about graphic sex in the elementary, junior high, and high school libraries. Recently, I talked to a school librarian that I had met on a couple of occasions, and I knew when I was getting ready to ask her this, I knew she was very liberal and that she was probably not going to agree with me, but I wanted to get some information out of her. And so when I asked her about books that are sexually explicit and things like that in the public school libraries, she shrugged it off. Do you know what she told me? She said, when I see something like that in the elementary library that's inappropriate, I just send it to the middle school. I was a little flabbergasted. So does this librarian, or every librarian, have the moral authority to decide if my child reads pornography in the middle school, if your child reads pornography in the middle school, so that's okay? We have no idea what our child is being exposed to in school. We have no idea what is in a book that they bring home unless we read the book. Because I assure you, if you Google it and you try to find reviews to see if it is appropriate, you will get the world's opinion and not God's. There's no way you know unless you read the book yourself. And even if your school is amazing and your child's teacher is amazing, just remember there are children in each class who are seeing pornography at home and who will come to school and talk about it. There are children in these classes who are treated like they're less than animals, who are screamed at and cussed at and knocked around, and probably a percentage of them are being sexually abused. And if you think that this Sodom and Gomorrah filth is going to get better, you are very mistaken. It's going to get worse every single day. And how do I know that? Because the Bible tells me it is. We are living in the last days. Satan is extremely bold, and there is no vibrant, powerful church that is holding him back or stopping him. And that's exactly what God said it would be like. We need to start thinking about how to protect our kids, because allowing them to be exposed to what they see on TV, on YouTube, or here in school can be irresponsible and foolish if we do nothing. I believe with all my heart that before too much longer, the only way we can protect them is to homeschool them. And I know that that strikes fear into many adults, but I assure you, it is not difficult and it is actually free. You can do homeschooling for free. And I plan on doing a post about that pretty soon. But I believe it will get to that point if it's not already. All of this reminds me, talking about the TV and things that we see and stuff, what we're exposed to, reminds me of David Wilkerson. I can't tell how many sermons I have heard him preach where he's telling his church to turn the TV off, that it will pollute their mind, and I believe he's right. He would turn over in his grave if he knew how addicted we are to cell phones, if he knew the hours and hours and hours spent watching useless things all the time that we are neglecting God. So I need to stop, because I assure you I've already said enough to make a lot of people mad. Every day I tell the Lord I should not be saying this stuff, and every day I keep doing what I think I'm supposed to do. I'm obviously not trying to make a lot of friends. I'm more interested in your soul than I am your friendship, although I am very, very grateful for those of you who are my friends. I love you, and thank you for following along with this series. I'm not sure what I'm going to do next. I have a short list of things. And like I said, every day I think, oh, I can't do that. I can't talk about that. But what I'm saying is the truth. And we need to be bold and uphold the truth and uphold the scripture, especially the closer we get to the time that the Lord's coming back, because I don't want to see anybody left behind. I love you. Thank you for watching.